Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Dadas Show, coming to you from Trizon Resident Hotel in Kilimani, here in Nairobi. I'm your host, Sickle. As our name suggests, Dadas Show aspires to promote the spirit of sisterhood, solidarity, and inclusivity amongst the women of Kenya. And we do this by creating an open and a safe platform for women to discuss any and all issues ascertaining to their health and well-being, their lifestyle and careers, their families, among other topics. We also take pride in having the conversations that matter, not only to women, but to society at large. Today, we are shining a light on a condition that affects thousands of families, yet remains widely misunderstood. To most people, sickle cell disease is associated only with pain crisis. But behind every diagnosis is a person, someone who is navigating school, careers, relationships, and going through everyday life with remarkable courage. On this episode of Dadas Show, we are going to separate facts from myths. We will discuss the importance of early diagnosis and genotyping. We will also hear first-hand stories of resilience from people living with this condition. Our hope is by the end of this conversation that you will have a better knowledge and understanding, compassion, and of course you'll be inspired to support those living with sickle cell disease. As always, we welcome you at home to take part and keep this conversation going on all our social media platforms at KBC Channel 1. You can also reach us on Facebook at Dadas Show KBC, or you can reach me personally at Ashiko the host across all social media platforms. We're looking forward to hearing your thoughts and feedback on this and any other episode that we will air. But remember to always like, follow, and subscribe. Before we get into today's conversation, let's take a look at the following feature.
Sickle cell disease is one of the most common inherited blood disorders in the world, yet it remains one of the most misunderstood. In Kenya, thousands of children and adults live with the condition every day, facing recurring pain, frequent hospital visits, and the burden of stigma. But with greater awareness, early diagnosis, proper treatment, and community support, people living with sickle cell disease can lead healthy, productive, and fulfilling lives. Sickle cell disease is inherited from both parents. It's not contagious. It's not caused by anything someone did. It is a lifelong genetic condition that affects the red blood cells, causing them to become sickle-shaped instead of round. These abnormal cells can block blood flow, leading to severe pain episodes, infections, anemia, and damage to vital organs. One of the most powerful tools in fighting sickle cell disease is early screening. Knowing your sickle cell status can help individuals and couples make informed health decisions and ensure children who are born with the condition receive early care. Beyond diagnosis, education is equally important. Many myths continue to surround sickle cell disease, often leading to discrimination and isolation. The truth is that with access to proper medical care, medication, routine checkups, good nutrition, and family support, individuals living with sickle cell disease can go to school, build careers, raise families, and contribute meaningfully to the society. Another critical need in the fight against sickle cell disease is blood donation. Many patients require regular blood transfusion, especially during severe complications or medical emergencies. A single blood donation can make the difference between life and death. Living beyond sickle cell begins with knowledge, compassion, and action. Get informed, get screened, donate blood if you can, and above all, stand with families living with sickle cell disease by replacing myths with understanding and stigma with support. Together, we can break the pain, break the myths, and build a future where every person living with sickle cell has the opportunity to thrive. For Dadas Show, I am Edna Murungi.
Welcome back. Our topic of discussion is living beyond sickle cell disease, breaking the pain, breaking the myth. And to unpack this, I am joined by Tracy Acheng Owor, who is a sickle cell warrior and advocate and a media professional and the founder of Crimson Courage. She'll tell us more about that in the course of our conversation. And right next to her is our expert on the panel, who is Dr. Moses Apella, who has been actively involved in research and clinical advocacy for sickle cell disease screening. Karibuni sana. We cannot fail to acknowledge my wonderful, wonderful audience who take time week in, week out to join us as we support each other, as we learn, as we unlearn through conversation. Karibuni sana. And of course, I cannot fail to thank you at home for tuning into Dadas show every Sunday at 4 p.m. and every Wednesday at 8 p.m. Surely your support means the world to us. So to get the ball rolling, I'll obviously start off with you, Tracy. Tracy, karibu sana. You look fantabulous.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Okay, so you're not only a sickle cell warrior, but you're also the founder of Crimson Courage. Can you share your journey with sickle cell and what inspired you to turn your personal experience into advocacy?
Thank you so much, Ashiko. My name is Tracy Acheng. Sickle cell is a condition that I found myself in. It was not a choice. If anyone is given that choice, I believe anyone would choose not to have sickle cell disease. So from childhood, I was diagnosed with it, and I used to go for my daily checkups at hospital, and sometimes I would get sick a lot, and I would not understand because at that point, I did not have any friends who were sickle cell warriors.
Yes.
So I just thought this is something very odd that it seems I and my sister are going through.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, my sister passed away last year, so now I'm left alone in the struggle. So now when I got older, I met a warrior called Joe Mudukiza. He was a very passionate advocate. Also, unfortunately, he also passed away like 2 weeks ago.
Oh, pole sana.
Yes.
My deepest condolences.
So for me, sickle cell is something, it's a burden that has been put up to me for me to be able to at least speak about it to the world. And that's how Crimson Courage came up.
Yes.
Because we met with a few sickle cell warriors as well as caregivers or our parents.
Yes.
And we thought, what can we do together? How can we be able to at least, number one, be understood?
Yes.
Because even our parents are really misunderstood, even in their places of work. And sickle cell is a burden, not only to the patient, but also to the parent. So it is a group that started as a support group, but grew to an organization.
Yes.
And the unique factor about us is that we are the people with the lived experience. Yes.
Yeah. Wow. We're truly, truly, truly honored to have you here with us. And thank you so much for making time amidst so much, so much tragedy. And of course, I'm sure you're so busy. So asante sana, and we definitely applaud, the statement and the mission that you have brought to yourself. We'll hear more about Crimson Courage as we carry on with the conversation. So Dr. Moses, to help us begin, what exactly is sickle cell disease? And how is it inherited? Because Tracy has talked about her and her late sister. How is it inherited, and why is it widely misunderstood?
Thank you so much, viewers at home and even the participants who are here today. Thank you for giving us this time to come and just explain what is all about sickle cell.
Yes.
Yes, so sickle cell is a genetically inherited blood disorder, which it's inherited from both parents.
Yes.
That means that we have what we call the abnormal genes. These abnormal gene we have in our makeup, we have the normal gene and the abnormal gene. So in terms of the normal genes, we are talking about the hemoglobin A, the hemoglobin F, and then the abnormal gene, we are talking about the hemoglobin S.
Yes.
So this hemoglobin S is what determines whether you are going to get sickle cell or not. So for one to get sickle cell, then you must have inherited from both parents. And this is from the mother and from the father. And what we mean is that the father have inherited the abnormal gene, which is S, and the mother also have abnormal gene, which is S. So then they are having sickle cell trait.
Yes.
So these sickle cell trait individuals, when they come into marriage, then they have a probability of having a child of sickle cell disease. Yes. Yeah.
Wow. So now that we've understood what sickle cell disease is and we've understood how it is inherited, why is it still so widely misunderstood?
Sickle cell is still widely misunderstood because one is that we haven't done so much in terms of awareness, and this is bringing into perception that you have so many patients who are living in the upcountry, and the awareness have not been upscaled to where many people are able to understand what is about sickle cell. The other thing is that we have other diseases that almost mirror sickle cell.
Yes.
We have other myths that people perceive to be a taboo. People still don't understand sickle cell in a way that we have people who are living in the rural areas who thinks that when you are losing blood, then either this child is bewitched or there is a curse in the family. That is why you are having issues with the blood loss every now and then. But with every time you are doing an awareness like what we are doing today, it's just to create an awareness to different people so that they can be able to understand how does one get sickle cell, what are these signs and symptoms of sickle cell, at what point do you need to go to the facility, do you need to get an intervention from a specialized care.
Wow, thank you so much. And I truly, truly hope that this particular forum is going to reach as many people as possible, because indeed that there is a need to create awareness. I want to come back to you, Tracy. So living with sickle cell comes with both visible and invisible challenges. What has been the most difficult part of your journey, and how have you found strength to keep going?
Yeah, sickle cell comes with a lot of unexpected things, because the nature of sickle cell is that you cannot know when you will be unwell. You cannot know if you will sleep in pain or wake up in pain. And there are also some triggers. For example, right now we're in the month of July.
Yes.
It is a cold month. So right now you'll find a lot of us are in hospital.
Yes.
Because of the weather, it causes us to have sickle cell crisis, the pains.
Yeah.
So even like for myself, last night I was in hospital, the other night.
Oh my.
So that is the nature of sickle cell. And growing up, I went through quite a few symptoms, but something that has been constant for me is jaundice.
Yes.
Because with sickle cell, the blood breaks down a lot. So there's a lot of yellow matter called bilirubin in the blood.
Yes.
But I have seen friends with sickle cell, and even within my group, some of them have experienced stroke. Some of them have even passed away. Some even their parents passed away. Now they are left as children with sickle cell with, no one to comfort them. So it's a condition that has a lot to deal with. So you can imagine on your birthday, you wake up, of course, you have good plans, then you're in pain. And it's nobody's fault. It's not even your own fault.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because
It's
you've
not
done
your fault.
everything. You've drank your water. Probably you ate well. You went to sleep and it was warm. Then you just wake up and you're in pain.
So you'd say one of the biggest challenges is the unpredictable nature of the condition.
Yes, the unpredictable nature of the condition.
So, my darling, how have you found strength to wake up, even to pick? And we are so blessed to even have you, considering that the night before yesterday you were not well, and we don't take your presence here for granted. Even for many of the sickle cell warriors who we have in our audience, who we'll talk to in a little while, how do you find the strength? Because I'm not saying you throw in the towel. I'm just saying this takes an insurmountable amount of strength just to get out of bed, just going through life unpredictably. How do you find strength?
Strength for me, it's an everyday thing. When you live with a health condition, you kind of get to gauge what matters in life. You get to see what is true happiness. Sometimes you can watch a nice sunset and say, wow, today was a good day.
Yeah.
You don't really fight to look for things that affirm that your life has meaning. You just get to appreciate the things that you have. Good relationships really matter. So for me, honestly, when it comes to even friendships and relationships,
Yes.
I'm able to pick up something that does not work for me very quickly, and I put up my boundaries. Because I cannot afford to pick up any stress.
Yeah,
Stress
you don't
is
need
a
stress.
trigger.
You don't. Yeah,
Yes.
stress is a trigger. Wow.
It's a trigger
okay.
for a painful crisis. So I like to say I'm a very expensive person because
I love that.
yeah, if you look even at the kind of budget I have to maintain myself,
Yes.
like for example, the procedures I go through, like maybe blood exchange and things like that,
Yeah.
I'm very expensive.
Yeah.
So my standards, I have to put them up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, so peace of mind is number one because stress is a trigger.
Yeah.
Number two, you just have to know your routine.
Yeah.
Live a soft life. For me, I don't like calling us sickle cell warriors. I'd rather call us soft life buddies because
Oh, soft
honestly,
life. Oh, soft life baddies. I love it.
honestly, we just need to live a soft life whereby we are at peace.
Yeah.
We know our system. We know what works for us. Then from there, we leave the rest to God.
You leave the rest to God.
Yes.
I love that. I really like that. I think and it takes a lot of self-awareness to be where you are, where you are telling yourself, listen, I just don't have energy for this, and me, I'm not cut out for this kind of stress, so please step away. I mean, I can see how that can definitely feed, it can feed your spirit. So thank you so much, Tracy, for that. Let's go back to you, Dr. Riapela. Many people associate sickle cell only with what she has mentioned as the painful crisis. What other health complications do people living with these conditions face, and how can they be prevented or managed?
Thank you so much. We have different types of complications, and I'm going to categorize them into two. So we have those early onset complications, and then we have late onset complications. But immediately the child, you start having the signs and symptoms of sickle cell. What are these things that probably will strike a parent to understand that my child is having a complication?
Yeah.
The first thing that most of the time this patient present with is pain that you talked about. Pain is number one thing that they will always be complaining of, and that is what will strike you the first time to understand that my child is having something that it's not normal. The other thing is about the jaundice. Jaundice is where you have the yellowness of the eyes.
Yes.
This yellowness of the eyes will accompanied with yellowness of the urine. So they urinate too strong yellow urine. They also get eyes becoming yellow, which normally if you look at the other normal children, they don't have. So but we have different forms of jaundice. So then we are not supposed to lose the focus that all the people that have yellowness of the eyes, then it qualifies you to have sickle cell. So for you to able to know whether the jaundice is because of the sickle cell, then you need to get to the hospital. The child has to be examined and then do appropriate investigations. The other thing is about, you look at these children, they are prone to getting infections. So you find that about 90% of the children who are living with sickle cell, or those warriors, one of the things that will be presenting with the recurrent infections. And this is because in the process of having sickle cell, there are hemodynamics that takes place in their body, including the defense mechanism that we have that are supposed to prevent us against having infections. In sickle cell, they'll be having the episodes of on and off fevers and infections otherwise. The other thing that they will come with is, in the late part of it, we start, sickle cell affects all the parts of the body that has got blood supply. And this is all the way from the head, all the way to the toes. So if we start from the head, what are these things that your child must present with? One of the things is that they can present with headache. So the headache, as the healthcare providers who deal in sickle cell, we know that it's something that we take it very serious, because headache is like any other painful crisis. But the importance of headache is that it's really possible that you can get an occlusion on the blood vessels that supplies the brain area. And during that time, if that happens and you don't detect it in time, then your child will present with what she talked about, the stroke.
The stroke.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that is one. Two, the eyes. Because we have the innervations, we have the blood supplies that goes into your eye. So once in a while that you will get that these patients can either present with eye pains, sometimes blurring of vision, and if you don't intervene, they might have a bleeding just behind the eye, and they might present with long-term blindness. You come to the chest. What happened to the chest? The chest cavity, there are organs that we have within the chest cavity. That is one is the lungs. So one of the complications that your child might present with there is pain on the chest, difficulty in breathing. And then if you look at their saturation in terms of oxygen, you'll find that it's a bit lower. So what will be overall in this is that there is a possibility that we'll be having infarction or a blockage of the blood vessels within the lungs, and then they might present with something called acute chest syndrome. Yes. So this is very emergency, usually very fatal sometimes if you don't intervene on it on time. And these are patients that really need to be admitted to be put on oxygen. Again, on the chest, we have the lungs, the heart, I mean.
The heart, yes.
So the heart, because of continued low hemoglobin levels. Hemoglobin levels, this is the amount of blood that you have. We know that most of the time, the sickle cell patients, they have issues with anemia. So if you have recurrent or chronic anemia, then you have all these, it's like you're having a pump that doesn't have enough water to pump into the circulation. So then what the complications that we'll get, that either the heart muscles could be enlarged, then you get something called hepatomegaly, cardiomegaly, I mean. The other thing, you go to the abdomen. In the abdomen, we have other organs, which is basically the spleen. We have the liver. We have liver arteries and the veins. There is a possibility that you can also have blood clots within these arteries. And one of the things that they will be presenting with is recurrent abdominal pains. With the process, a continued breakdown of red blood cells, then you will find that these organs could increase in size. So you either get the spleen on the left side being enlarged. Yes, and then you also get the liver on the right side being enlarged. So one of the things that the parent will be complaining is that my child has steady distension of the abdomen, and sometimes they have pain, especially when they eat. This pain just comes immediately after eating. So then you have to take a good consideration on in terms of what is not happening. And then we come into the lower abdomen. The lower abdomen, we have the reproductive organ. Within the reproductive organ, if it is a woman, then we are looking at what about the maturity? What about the menstruation period? We have those ones who have delayed maturity. They either start having their menstruation period way later in life compared to the normal ones. I'm sure she'll be able to tell you at what point she was able to get the periods. If she's comfortable on it. So again, when it's during the pregnancy for the women, at what is really important when you're having sickle cell, what happens in that scenario? There are complications that normally comes in the process of having pregnancy with sickle cell. So pregnancy with sickle cell we categorize as high-risk pregnancy.
High-risk pregnancy.
And therefore needs highly specialized care during that time. The next thing is we are talking about the hip. One of the things that we have, which also becoming very common, is that we are having within the hip we have the pelvic bone and then the hip bone. Where they converge, we call it the pelvic joint. So this point we have, if you are the pelvic joint is a large joint that really needs a lot of oxygen and the blood supply and nutrients. So, but because of continued low blood levels, then you realize that the oxygen and the nutrients that it's supposed to be carried within these blood vessels is being reduced. So in our all time, then you'll get something like, we call it a vascular necrosis. The cells undergoes natural death. And in the process, what are the signs that this patient will be coming with? One is that they'll start having they are limping. You all of a sudden
Okay.
see your child limping.
Yeah.
And if you see your child limping, then it tells you, because we do health education for them, that what are these danger signs that you need to watch in your child,
Yeah.
that in the event that it happens, you need to see a doctor as soon as possible. So
Okay.
then we have a vascular necrosis happening on the hip,
Yeah.
but we also have on the bone that you can also get bone infections, which we are talking about as osteoarthritis. We have osteomyelitis. And then on the lower limb, there are those ones who present with leg ulcers. The leg ulcers, these are chronic inflammatory process that happens on the lower limbs extremities, whereby you don't have enough blood supply
Getting to
and
the bottom of your
bottom,
feet.
yes.
Wow.
So it's sometimes very, very chronic and
Vast.
very
From the
tiresome
top,
to treat.
and I love the way you've covered it right from the top till the bottom. And I think I have a quick question before we take a break. Is all of this information available on the internet, the way you've outlined, from the top to the, from the top of the upper jaw, from what? From your head to your heel. So is this information available?
This information is now available,
Yeah.
and initially we didn't have so much information, but
Yeah.
right now we have the print media, we have barazas that we are taking this information to, we have the school, we attend school areas where we are able to advise and educate our parents and the caregivers, and also the targeted audience. Occasionally we do mass screening. During the mass screening, then we create awareness. We give this information. We are calling the warriors. They are coming into that platform. Like right now, she has a platform where she's able to advise people more about sickle cell. And even we have other advocacy groups that deals basically on sickle cell. So we have not reached where we are supposed to be, but we have made a big stride over the time.
That's very encouraging, and I truly, truly hope, because I like the way you've outlined some of those signs and symptoms are things that I didn't even know could possibly happen. So you can imagine the misconception out there that any of them can present, and you do not know that this is the underlying condition is sickle cell. So very briefly, Tracy, before we take a break, through Crimson Courage, like he's mentioned, your advocacy group, you've interacted with many people and their families, people and the families affected by sickle cell. What is some of the biggest misconception or barriers they continue to face in Kenya?
The biggest barrier of a person with sickle cell disease or any person supporting a sickle cell patient in Kenya, I'd like to say, whether you are a millionaire or you don't have a salary, when it comes to sickle cell, having sickle cell, we are all on the same level.
Absolutely.
Because you find, number one, the nature of the condition is unpredictable. You will end up spending a lot of money when you go to hospital. So the only way that we can be helped, does not matter our economic background, is if we get more support within our government and our Ministry of Health. For example, you find some procedures like what I said about blood exchange are covered when you go to other countries. However, in Kenya, you have to pay for it. And the procedure, is, for example, is 150,000 when you go to Nairobi West Hospital. But SHA only pays for 70,000, you see? So when you look at those kind of things, and even if sickle cell right now is considered as a disability, we are yet to get that consistent support, whereby when you go to hospital, as a sickle cell warrior, I'm going to get this and this and this. So because we are very unpredictable, you can fall sick even in a month once or 10 times. If we don't have that support, we will keep suffering, all of us, all over Kenya. And this is a problem that only has to be solved from home. No one is coming from abroad to come and help us. So it is our government and our institutions to create systems for us to at least know our genotype and to get the health services and medication that we need.
Wow. Oh, we'll definitely touch on genotype when we come back from the break. But for now, we're going to take a short break, and then we'll be back for the question and answer session. Don't go far away. Welcome back. Remember our conversation of the day. We're talking all about sickle cell disease, creating awareness, support, and generally just sensitizing the public on what these wonderful people are actually going through. So before we jump into our question and answer session, I have one final question for you, Dr. Pella. You know, one of the key messages around sickle cell is the importance of knowing your genotype before starting a family. Why is this important, and what should every Kenyan understand about genetic testing and informed family planning?
Thank you so much. I will go back to 2019 World Sickle Cell Day. The theme was, let's cut the chain.
Yes.
Cutting the chain means that we stop the progression of sickle cell to the next generation. So the gene testing, it's very important that it helps us to able to understand what type of genetical makeup that one individual has. And this is basically, we are targeting a certain population. What are these population? We are targeting those areas that has got high burden of sickle cell. We have, in Kenya, we have a survey that was done which showed that we have around 17 counties that are heavily burdened by sickle cell. So our mass screening or gene testing, we are targeting these particular regions. But at the same time, we are getting intermarriages. Then it's not ordinarily means that those 17 counties are the ones that have sickle cell. But the other thing is, we are targeting those people who have already been affected by sickle cell. Those families that have already recorded a case of sickle cell. They are very important for us to emphasize for them to do a gene testing for the other family members. Let's say, for example, she has other siblings. We encourage the parents to bring all their children for testing, so that once you know your gene type, then it's easier for you to make an informed decision and an informed choice. Let's say, for example, I have a patient in my family who is having sickle cell, which is SS. And then I have other siblings in my house. When we screen them, for example, one have a sickle cell trait, which is AS. Then what are the information that I want to pass to this particular patient is that then in future that they want to get into a relationship that leads into marriage or leading into getting a child, which is pregnancy, then they need to know the the gene type of the other partner, so that we are able to reduce the chances of giving birth to a child who is having a sickle cell in the society. Remember, we said that for you to get sickle cell, then the two parents both parents are having sickle cell trait, or you get a sickle cell trait person getting married to a sickle cell patient. You get those two.
Yes.
Then the chances is they will be getting a child of sickle cell. So then doing the gene testing, then it helps them to make an informed choice. Remember, we are not deciding for them.
We are not.
We are not deciding for them.
Yeah, because I thought I was sounding a little bit harsh. You're telling people, don't date, don't get babies, period.
Yes. Remember, we are not choosing for them. We are not deciding for them, I mean. But at least you give them a choice. And at the beginning, on the onset, she said, there is nobody who ever wished to be born of sickle cell. Absolutely. If they were given a second chance, then they might not have born of sickle cell. So sometimes, and most of the patients that we get, they never knew. And that brings back ways the
importance of genotyping. Yes. Oh, yeah. Thank you so much, Dr. for that. And I really hope that that piece of information will resonate with our audience and will encourage people to actually go and get tested, to get genetically tested and screened, yeah? And, of course, they can make informed decisions. I like what you said. We are not planning anybody's life. We're just simply telling you to make informed decisions. Asante sana daktari. We'll jump into the question and answer session. And before that, we have some very special people in the audience. Of course, when we're talking about a condition that affects a person lifelong, there are certain people, there are certain very key and essential people. We cannot fail to acknowledge the parents, the guardians, and together here we have a caregiver who is going to tell us her name, and then she'll tell us her experience and her interaction with the condition, and perhaps maybe a word of encouragement to fellow caregivers and guardians. Karibu sana.
Thank you so much, Ashiko. My name is Agnes Anyango. I'm a caregiver to a 12-year-old sickle cell warrior, and she's also a soft life buddy, just the way Tracy mentioned before.
Yeah.
So now, as the caregivers, we have so many challenges, but now I'm not going to go deep into a lot of things that is happening for us. Like personally, it's the mental. Actually, it drains so much mentally, especially when you see, normally when I see my child down with crisis and the pains, it drains.
Absolutely.
Sometimes I blame myself so much, but then it's not her wish, it's not also my wish. So now I would like to tell my fellow caregivers to just push, take one day at a time. We make sure we give our warriors their medication, attend clinics, and also each one of us to at least get a support group. Because from the support groups, you get the support even for the mental, whatever, when you share, maybe we go to the clinics and we see other warriors also, other caregivers, at least it gives us strength. Because sickle cell is an expensive disease. Actually, it drains financially, mentally, emotionally, everything it drains. Yeah. So mine is just to echo what Tracy said. We just need to push and live a day at a time.
I like what you said. Take it a day at a time. Yeah. Okay. So next we're going to move on to Selina. Selina is very instrumental in today's conversation. I'll give her an opportunity to introduce herself and tell us what she does, and of course her interaction with today's conversation. Karibu sana, Selina.
Thank you very much. My name is Selina Oluwando Ogweno. I work for Children's Sickle Cell Foundation. But today I look at sickle cell as one of those things that have shaped me as a person. I got into this 21 years ago when my son was diagnosed with sickle cell. And looking at what has happened today, I mean what is happening today versus what we got when we were getting diagnosed is totally different. Yes. Kenya is fortunate because in the last 20 years we've seen great change and remarkable strides in care and management. One of the things I'll say is that in 2022, we formed the umbrella body, which covers all organizations in this country, meaning that Kenya, we have about 40 organizations that work with people living with sickle cell. And these organizations, like Tracy has mentioned, they start off as support groups. Yes. Even as Children's Sickle Cell Foundation, we started a support group. We were trying to look for help. We were trying to come together to bring our voices to talk about sickle cell. And so what has happened over the years is that through this coalition and coming together, we've managed to get the ears of some people who are now getting us to the right place. And that one being the government and even the global space. So what are we doing in sickle cell in Kenya? Sickle cell, the lobbying level has gone way up, and we are fortunate that today the Sickle Cell Federation of Kenya has managed to get a seat in the technical working group, which is co-chaired by the government. This is where high-level decisions are made with regard to care and management. Yes, we are trying to do a lot to make sure that people living with sickle cell are covered in the country. Just recently, we were fortunate to get the SHA to cover some of the elements within sickle cell care and management. Yes. Now, this is going to work very well for us because we are looking at people in the rural setup. Many of people living or affected by sickle cell cannot afford insurance. The health facilities are not accessible, and if they are, sometimes there are commodities that we lack for care. A case in places like she was talking of the red cell exchange. There are some commodities like medication that need proper supply chain and all those things. So out of this covering, we are trying to make sure that sickle cell is managed at a high level, and high level means that the owner of the country has to take care of its people.
Because we need to take care of our soft life buddies, yeah?
Yes, and so there are many children, and especially here in Nairobi, we have a number of clinics running, but these are efforts of caregivers and the patients and some of the well-wishers coming together and saying, why don't we create something to help people living with sickle cell?
Yeah.
But I'm happy to say that county governments are now waking up. And so they're also setting up infrastructures, not as fast as we'd wish, but at least there's effort towards making sure that today if you travel to the rural setting, at least people know what sickle cell is. We still lack in the part of awareness.
Yes.
And that is one of the gaps that's leading to a lot of myths and misconceptions that we see every day.
Yeah.
It is one of the things that frustrate the fast growth that we are looking at. But we as a community, we are looking at how do we get that voice out there so that that small child who has a complication and cannot communicate is covered without them having to say anything. I want to thank everybody who has contributed to this. Today, the Nairobi County government is making plans to start a sickle cell clinic.
Yes.
Very soon, they'll be having a sickle cell clinic.
Wonderful.
We have clinics that are deliberate in ensuring that their personnel are trained on sickle cell care and management. We are happy that younger doctors are gaining interest in this. There's more research also happening, and very soon we may also get to see that there's the treatment that we want for sickle cell, which is bone marrow, happening here and happening in big numbers so that many of us can access and afford. So in a nutshell, sickle cell disease is one of those diseases that have brought us to our knees. But one of the things we said that we will not stay there. We will every day try and get up and walk, even if it's in little strides, but make sure that everybody is now talking about it.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Selina. Let's give her a round of applause. Thank you so much, Selina. Thank you so much. And it's very encouraging to hear that the government is doing this, because we are always, very hard on our government, So it's very encouraging to hear that there are strides that are being put in place, especially, for conditions such as this. And I know what definitely begs the question, and I think, Dr. you can take this before we move on to Etemesi. What are some of the preventions, very briefly, preventions and treatments? Because we're talking about a condition. What is the prevention? We've outlined everything, but we've not talked about prevention and management, of sickle cell disease.
So basically, I'll start with the prevention. One, the preventive measures is prevent the reoccurrence of sickle cell.
Yes.
By doing gene testing.
The gene testing,
that is
of course.
Two. Yeah. One. So two, those who are already having sickle cell, they are born of sickle cell. What are these preventive measures that we want to take in place so that we reduce the chances of complications, we reduce the chances of hospitalization and recurrent infections. One is there are important immunization factors that we have to give to these sickle cell warriors.
Oh, really?
Yes. One of them is pneumococcal vaccine. We have meningococcal vaccine. And then we also have H influenza, which is Haemophilus influenza type B, which is very important for all these patients who have been diagnosed of sickle cell.
Because of the recurrent infections. Yes.
Number two, then they have to be put on prophylactic treatments. Prophylactic management, we have those areas that we categorize as malaria endemic areas. Then we have to prevent them from getting malaria. We know that sickle cell with malaria, very fatal. So therefore, we try as much as possible to prevent them from getting malaria. One is you have to give them a drug called Paludrin. The Paludrin, basically, we give it to those areas that are having malaria.
Have the prevalence.
Yeah, the prevalence. Yes. In Nairobi, we are privileged that we don't have so much prevalence of malaria, so therefore, not very important in Nairobi. The other thing is we have other treatments like antibiotics, which are basically to prevent them from getting bacterial infections, and this is penicillin V. We also have folic acid. We also have hydroxyurea. So the hydroxyurea is the main treatment, the one that drug for us that we are using all our patients who are having sickle cell. Once you are diagnosed of sickle cell, then you are supposed to be started on hydroxyurea. Only under other circumstances, like for example, if a child is less than 10 kgs or is less than 1 year, then we can defer starting hydroxyurea. But the others are supposed to be started on hydroxyurea unless they get adverse drug reactions.
Okay.
That is the only time that we'll stop. Yes. We also have those ones who are having exchange blood transfusion. We have chronic blood transfusion, which is basically to help us increase the amount of hemoglobin S that we are talking about, so that we can be able to control the complications. Yes.
So it's almost like diluting. Forgive me for my laymaness. So ni kama una dilute.
Yes, you are diluting that blood, because what you are trying to do is you are trying to increase the amount of hemoglobin F and reducing the S. Because we said S is the devil in the house.
S is the devil.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay, then.
So the other thing that maybe I have to talk about is the exchange transfusion that is taking place in Kisumu right now. We are privileged that we have Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, which is one of the public facilities that it's pioneering the exchange transfusion, and we are encouraging many people. We are doing a lot of capacity building so that this program can be enrolled in other counties that otherwise
that would be fantastic.
Are privileged. Yes.
Wow, thank you so much. Asante sana. But remember, we will definitely put up more information. I know that this is a very vast topic. We'll definitely put up more information. You can on our social media pages. So remember to tune in for that. I want to give a sickle cell warrior, a gentleman in our audience, very briefly, an opportunity to say hi to us and tell us something before we come to the close of the show.
Thank you so much, Shiko, for having me here. My name is Temesio Chola. I'm a sickle cell warrior. I'm one of those patients that who got late diagnosis at 7 years of age. At that time, I got my diagnosis in Mombasa instead of Nairobi, but I was born and bred here in Nairobi. But I had to go down to the coast because it was a known area where people living sickle cell were. So the test was there in the 90s. Apart from that, I am now 41 years. I thank God for that. And one of the misconceptions that we have with sickle cell is people living with sickle cell do not live for long.
Yes.
Yeah. So I am one of the
proof.
I'm a living proof that you can actually live for long. So parents in places like rural areas, when they have people living with sickle cell, they don't educate them. Yeah. They don't invest in them because they believe they will die. So that misconception is a lie, because I'm one of those that my parents believed in me, and I'm currently even in school doing my master's. So it's possible for you to be schooled even with sickle cell anemia. The other thing is that you can't get married, you can't get children. I am also a testament that I am married, 11 years in marriage right now. I am blessed with one child. And yes, so we can actually get and raise a family. Yeah, so if you have sickle cell anemia, you can live a normal life. Yes.
Thank you, Ashiko, for bringing this insightful session. To our panelists, I would like to ask, how can communities improve quality of people living with sickle cell anemia?
Okay, thank you for the question. When it comes to sickle cell disease, whether in rural or urban areas, we bank on management. So this means, number one, taking the medication as Daktari has said, but also there are things you can do at home, such as our nutrition. We need to take a lot of foods high in iron phosphates. For example, mboga kienyeji. Also, you find even in rural and urban areas, we manage ourselves even with some things such as herbs. There are some herbs that truly help us even with our organs and even keeping our, like for example, iron levels high. So let's do the best that we can to manage ourselves. And apart from that, just as a community, we have at least avenues where we create awareness, such as our podcast, Crimson Courage. You can get to see from different warriors and hear their stories, even the stories of caregivers. So I think together we can be able to achieve a lot and at least support each other. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much for that. So we have come to the end of another very insightful episode. So let's continue to challenge the myths, Let's encourage genotype testing and let's donate blood as much as we can. And of course, let's stand with the families that are affected with this condition. Awareness can save lives, but of course, compassion can transform them. So on behalf of the production team at KBC, our location partner, Trizan Resident Hotel, my wonderful panel, and our audience here, and you at home, we thank you so much for tuning in. And we will catch you same time, same place next week. But for now, goodbye and God bless.